Good morning. Welcome to Southminster Steinhauer United Church. It's nice to see all the pink. I'm wearing my one pink shirt. This is from camp. The Sowboys are like an improv drama troupe. Maybe I'll channel some of that later. So at SSUC, we're part of Treaty 6, and SSUC is on the ancestral homeland of many Indigenous nations, such as the Cree, Blackfoot, Nakota Sioux, Dene Ta, and the Papas Chase First Nation. We begin today by remembering the bullying, the racism at both the personal and the structural injustice level that results in the ongoing colonization of their land. May our words symbolize the real actions we take and the intentions we have to live towards strong relations and continued reconciliation. So some of our Cree siblings and sisters and brothers begin intentional gathering times with the sacred smoke of a smudge, and we also start our gathering with fire.
Welcome everyone to Pink Shirt Sunday. If you're not wearing pink, that's okay. You can be pink in spirit. This is a day where we come to honor a tradition started by high school students David and Travis Price in Berwick, Nova Scotia. They don't both have the same name, I've got that wrong. But in 2007, they witnessed an incident at their school. A grade 9 student named Charles McNeil came to school one morning wearing a pink shirt. And he was bullied mercilessly for it. The next day, Travis and David bought and distributed 50 pink t-shirts to the school, invited everyone to wear them in solidarity and in support of the student who was bullied. That began an annual event, first in Nova Scotia and now throughout Canada and in many parts of the world, that celebrates wearing pink as a way to stand up against bullying. And so we come together today in our circle to make a noise against bullying and commit ourselves to being as bully-free as we can in our lives, in our experience. And it's good for us to talk about, right at the outset, just what a bully might be. A bully is really anyone who uses their strength or their behavior or their words to make or to intimidate someone to feel small, to feel unwelcome, to feel unvalued and unwanted. A bully uses aggressive behavior that shows that they have more power, whether they do or not, than another person. Sometimes a bully does this once, but often the behavior is repeated and make others afraid of them or afraid to speak up, because bullies often use threats against speaking up, against telling anyone, or against getting out of the situation in any way. A bully does not have to be in grade school or on the playground. We don't graduate from bullying when we graduate from school. Adults in workplaces, seniors in care facilities, professionals caring for others, anyone online in social media and texting can be a bully and can be bullied. That's why it's important to talk about bullying, because it can happen to any of us at any stage, and to know a little bit about what we can do, not only individually, but together, with and for each other when we encounter it. So we thank David and Travis, these two Newfoundlanders, for starting this amazing tradition in this country and around the world. And we celebrate today and honor that tradition of standing up against all the big, bad Goliaths, bullies, giants that we encounter in our lives. Why don't we sing about what it means to welcome, what it means to see each other as equals, and to make a place for each other? Let's do that as we sing our way into this circle this morning. One of the really great things about this day is we can ponder and think about what it is that a bully likes to do that makes what they do so powerful. Often what a bully does is they choose a label for those that they're bullying. They find one thing about that person or that group of people, and they hold on to that, and they make it the only thing about that person. When we talk about labels, we talk about the things that other people are giving us. Maybe they fit, maybe they don't. As a way into this topic, there's a video that won a student award in 2011, a student video award in 2011, that without any words at all expresses this sentiment beautifully. Let's watch. going to follow that up with a bit of a call and response time here. And there's so many ways that we can celebrate our own names, our own labels, our own sense of who we are. And as I share these sentences with you, would you share as a response the words, "I'm me"? Lots of people would like to tell us who we are, but we have only one answer. Who are you?
I'm me.
People have name tags for us, names, categories, judgments, that they'd like to stick to us so that we fit into one of their boxes. But we don't have a box. Who are you? I'm me. We wear lots of different kinds of clothes, hairstyles. We talk with words that are just ours. We have the friends that we have. We have different colors skin and hair. We have different kinds of families. We have different accents and different languages. We express love in different ways. We have our own unique way of being in this world. So who are you? I'm me. In the pain of being labeled, of being judged, of being bullied, we could be quiet. We could sulk and hide away who we truly are. We could let our hurt shut us down and silence us. So let's not forget, who are you? I'm me. In the support of one another, we find the strength to create and wear our own label. We find the strength to support one another in our uniqueness. We find the strength to stand up together just as we are, growing more fully into ourselves, and hopefully with one another to answer the question, who are you? I'm me. So, the only one who can label ourselves is us. We have a little activity that we're going to do right now. And many of you received two things when you came in the room. You received a rope, hold on to that for later, and you received an empty name tag. If you didn't get one, there are still lots at the back. We're going to take just 4 or 5 minutes, and there's some movement involved, which is good because you might already be tired of sitting. This is about standing up for bullying. There are a couple of different stations around the room with crayons, markers, pencils. I'm going to invite you to do whatever you need to do to create for yourself your very own label, your own name. Perhaps it's your name. Perhaps it's a name. Perhaps it's a symbol, a color, a drawing. Whatever it is on that name tag that identifies you to yourself as you. We're going to put that on ourselves this morning. So, 3 or 4 minutes, grab some pens, grab some crayons, come back to your chair. You can do that, and then we'll stick it on ourselves, because the only ones who can label ourselves is us.
come on up. It's a time for all ages. So come to the carpet if you want. Great pink, great pink, great pink. All right. Not too late to come up if you want, but let's chat us. I'm Allison. I think I know all of you. So, Pink Shirt Day, bullies. I was bullied. I was bullied a little bit in grade 6, and as an adult at one of the jobs I was at, and parts of me online, I guess. And this book, come on, yeah. This book is about one idea of what to do with these bullies. It's called One by Catherine Otoshi. And we're going to see what they do with this bully. Blue was a quiet color. He enjoyed looking up at the sky, floating on the waves. And on days he felt daring, splashing in rain puddles. Every once in a while, he wished he could be more sunny like yellow, or bright like green, or more regal like purple, or outgoing like orange. But overall, he liked being blue, except when he was with Red. Red was a hothead. He liked to pick on Blue. Red is a great color, he'd say. Red is hot, blue is not. Then Blue would feel bad about being blue. Sometimes yellow comforted Blue. Blue is a very nice color, she'd say. But yellow never said that in front of Red. She never said, "Stop picking on Blue." Green, purple, and orange thought Blue was nice too, but they never told Red to stop either. Every time Red said something mean and no one spoke up, he got bigger and bigger and bigger. Sheesh, it's huge. Whoa! Soon Red grew so big that everyone was afraid of him. No one dared to stop him. Red picked on all the colors. Everyone felt a little blue. Until One came. He had a different shape, with bold strokes and squared corners. He was funny. He made the colors laugh. Red saw this and got very hot. "Stop laughing," he told yellow. "Stop laughing," he told green. "Stop laughing," he told purple and orange. And they did. Red rolled up to One. "Stop laughing," he told him. But One stood up straight like an arrow and said, "No." Red was mad, but One wouldn't budge. So Red rolled away. One turned to the other colors and said, "If someone is mean and picks on me, I, for one, stand up and say no." Then yellow felt brave and said, "Me too." Green agreed and said, "Me 3." Then purple became 4 and orange became 5. Blue saw the colors change. He wanted to count. Red grew red hot. He felt left out. He grew hotter and hotter and hotter. Red raced over to Blue and said what he always did. Red is hot, Blue is not. But this time, Blue stood up tall and became 6. Red can be really hot, he said, but Blue can be super cool. Red blew a fuse and tried to roll over Blue. But everyone took a stand and said no. Seeing them standing tall made Red feel very, very, very small. Then Red turned even redder and began rolling away. Blue called out, red can be hot, or blue called out, can red be hot and blue be cool? Red stopped in his tracks. Red can count too, said one. Red rocked and rolled and turned into 7. Everyone counts, they shouted. Then Red laughed and joined the fun. Sometimes it just takes one. Lovely. So, can you remember? We just read it. Can you remember what one said to the bully Red when Red was being mean? Yeah. Yeah. One stood his ground, like he said, and said, no, you got it. Yeah. And what was happening before one came in, yeah? What's your idea? Blue? Red? Yeah. Red got bigger when no one stood up to Red. Yeah, you're right. When they let the bullying go on longer, it got worse and worse. Yeah, you're right. And what happened when they asked when Red stopped? Got smaller again, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Red turned more friendly, I guess, when he was mean, but they still let him to join whatever they were going to do.
Yeah, that's a really good twist in the story. They let Red join. Yeah, even though Red was mean before. That's really a good point. Yeah, I think that this is a very good example of something you can say to a bully. You can ask them to stop and say no. And what happened? Red just rolled away. Red didn't keep bullying, just rolled away. And sometimes that does work. When people help each other, all the numbers got together, right? All the numbers joined together to say no. And then it really worked. So it's good when we can work together getting bullies to stop. And there's lots of different ideas. Probably your teachers say, go tell an adult, so that's one. This is an idea to tell them to stop. You can say how it makes you feel when you get bullied. You could say, hey, that felt mean. Were you being mean to me on purpose? That really confuses a bully. They are so awkward. They don't know what to say. You can just say, that felt rude, or that was rude. So you can try a whole bunch of different ideas if you get bullied, or if you see someone being bullied. And the one important part of this story is that it just took one person to stop it, and then that really got everyone to come together. Great. So thanks for listening to the story and sharing your ideas. Right. So, a long, long, long time ago the other day, there were two armies facing off against each other. There was the Philistines. They were coming from the east. They wanted to take the highlands in Israel to get the important cities there and then take over the whole kingdom of Israel. So, of course, against them was King Saul's army, the Hebrew army. So there they were. But they were in a deadlock. No one was doing anything because both were on a mountaintop with a valley in between. So if you were to attack the other, you would have to go down the mountain, through the valley, then back up the mountain. So there was no way. Nothing was happening. They were just waiting it out. This went on for weeks, just waiting. And then finally, someone from the Philistine army came down into the valley and said, let's just duke this out one-on-one. So this was an ancient tradition of old warfare where you could just send your best fighters down, they'd fight one-on-one, and then it would avoid the battle. But this guy that they sent down was just huge, like up to almost 7 feet tall, basically a giant. He's all decked out in glittering bronze armor. He's got a big sword and a big spear. Just absolutely terrifying to look at. So, of course, the Hebrews don't want to send, no one wants to volunteer to go fight this Goliath of a man. So every day, he's down in the valley, send out your best fighter, send down your best fighter, I'll take on anyone. But no one is volunteering to go. No one wants to fight this guy. It would be a death wish.
So whether we call it an occupying force or whether we call it an invasion of our safety, whether we call it a bully or a Goliath, when confronted with any of those, it can freeze us, paralyze us into inaction so that we don't want to do anything. Because when we're confronted with something so big and so scary, we're held in the grip of fear. Fearing what might happen if we actually do step a few steps forward and confront it. We hope upon hope when we're confronted with that scary thing, with that insurmountable obstacle. We hope that that Goliath will just turn around and go home. But Goliaths don't often do that. They keep at it. The challenges, the fear, the giants that stand and shadow us, they keep shouting and taunting. Come on. What are you waiting for? Goliaths of all kinds shout and show their strength, wanting us to hide in the ranks, to shrink back, and to let the fear of them keep us quiet. And meanwhile, we often hope that someone else, I'm not the only one around here, am I? Someone else will stand up for us. Someone will speak up. Who will volunteer? We look around. Because we think we won't have to get involved if only someone else would solve the problem. Why isn't anyone else solving our problem? Nobody's coming. How could I possibly confront this giant of a thing?
I'll go. Okay, so that's David. Little David the shepherd volunteers to go fight the giant. And David is this little guy, a shepherd, and King Saul is like, no way. You cannot fight. You're not a fighter. You're just a kid. You cannot go. But David keeps volunteering to go into the valley and fight Goliath. So this puts the king in a bit of an awkward position because he doesn't want to send him, but David is the only one who has volunteered. So finally he said, okay, you can go, but you gotta put some armor on at least. So they start decking out David in King Saul's armor. It's super huge, it's clanking around, and David says, no, I can't wear this. It's not mine, and it doesn't fit. I'm going, but as me.
Isn't it funny that even our most ardent supporters don't always know who we are at heart? They sometimes push us without even knowing it into the games that Goliaths play. In being supportive and offering their own strengths and their own armor, they're placing us on battlefields that aren't even our own. They're saying, you go and let me help you, but I'll be way back there. It's difficult standing up to a Goliath. It's difficult standing up to the fear of something humongous looming over us. But it's even harder standing up to your friends and allies to say just how it is you need to be confronting what you confront.
But he does it. He refuses the armor and instead picks up 5 smooth stones and tucks them away in his pocket.
I wonder, when we're confronted with a giant, if we're tempted to believe that only the biggest and only the strongest and only the most powerful will be helpful. We're tempted to believe that we need to be someone we're not. A Goliath, like a bully, more than anything, wants to compromise someone else's identity. They want to make us think that we can't possibly be who we are. We need to be someone else. But what would happen if a small shepherd boy dressed up in armor way too large for him and face a giant that had lived and breathed in that armor all his life? Who's happy to dictate the terms and the turf of this battle? The reality is there is no way to win against a Goliath, a fear, a foe, when we are forced to be someone we're not. When we compromise who we are, we've already lost. The only way forward is to know who we are and, like David, find the courage to be true to that person, despite the taunts and the offer of ill-fitting armor.
So yeah, here come the taunts. So David comes down that mountain into the valley, approaching the giant, and this is when the trash talking starts. Goliath, it's old-fashioned biblical trash talking. So he's all like, come here so I can feed your flesh to the birds and to the wild beasts. And as David gets closer, the giant sees that he's only got a shepherd's staff, and he says, he's insulted by that. The giant says, what am I, a dog that you would come at me with just a stick? And so David's approaching, not too close, and just the trash talk is flying.
I don't know what bullies you've encountered in your life, what fears and foes, what giants casting shadows. But they seem to always want to get us dirty, tussle with us, right up close, like hitting us right where it hurts, right in the heart, in the gut. what makes them such insurmountable foes is they go for usually where we're most vulnerable. Bullies love to inflict pain and watch the suffering as they do it. And they've got to be close to do it. What good would it do for a bully if the pain being caused can't be enjoyed? The bully will always say, "Come here. Come a little closer."
But David, he didn't come close. He stayed a fair distance away, reaches into his pocket, pulls out one of the stones, puts it in his sling, whips the sling around his head, launches the rock, hits the giant right in the forehead, and he falls down dead. That was for the actual sounds. That's historical. I checked that.
And laughter on the battlefield.
Yeah.
David spent his whole entire life using a sling. He used it to defend his flock against lions and wolves and who else, who knows what. Probably not lions, but you know. Why not? This sling is where David's strength lies. He's a slinger. It's not a toy slingshot like Allison demonstrated. That's not a slingshot that little boys get, to play with. This is a massive 2 long leather cords with a leather pouch in the middle, and he would place that stone in that pouch and whirl it around like Allison showed, and just let go of one of those cords, and that stone would fly, baby. It would fly a great distance. David would have scared wildlife away with that. He would have used it to move the sheep. He would have used it if he had to defend them. So here he is, this shepherd, experienced in a practiced skill, up against this lumbering giant weighed down by 100 pounds of armor and these incredibly heavy weapons that, yes, would have rendered David into mincemeat. But only if they're used at short range. David recognizes that he does not need to fight this giant the way the giant wants him to. He can stop this fight before it even starts, from 200 meters away with the knowledge of who he is and what he can do. There are so many giants that call to us. Sometimes they're personal foes, real-life bullies, larger-than-life people, and words and actions and texts and social media posts that directly abuse us and call us out to come closer. Just respond to this post, I dare you. And they do that so that they can fight with us and demean us and find their power in diminishing ours. Sometimes they're social foes, the systems and decisions, the cultural, the political, the social isms that confront us, that shadow us, that dare us to take them on, that say, we know this isn't quite the ideal world, but this is just the way it is. Sometimes the giants are of our own making them no less real, of course, because they live within our fears and our obsessions and our addictions and our traumas and our losses. And those shadows are just as frightening. These giants and bullies and Goliaths are everywhere. The only tool we need is our ability to know ourselves and respond from who we are, who we seek to be, and allow the inner strength and character to confront our giants in only the way we can, not the way people beside us or behind us. can, but the way we can. There isn't a right way to defeat a giant. There is only how creative we are at expressing who we are and finding our own strength and our own skill and our own experience. The strength of simply standing.
So, the Philistines on their mountaintop had seen that their giant had fallen down dead, and they turned and they ran.
Allison and I are going to offer a few intentions, a few prayers that might seek to take this grand old story, this metaphor, and make it something we might ponder as we take it away today. May we find the courage required to face the Goliaths of the world by standing in the strength of who we are.
May we hear with full awareness just why the giants are calling us to come close.
May we stand up with the strength needed so that we're not drawn into the battle our giants are taunting us with.
May we be bold enough to confront our Goliaths with our very truest selves.
May we seek to more deeply know ourselves, to identify what skills and experience comprise our 5 smooth stones, our strengths, our skills, our experiences, so that we can confront our giants on our own terms and in our own ways.
May we stand up for ourselves and for others, knowing that who we are is enough. and stay standing. We're going to do a pledge. All right. So I'll do this call and response so our little ones who aren't reading yet can take part, because we're going to say this as a whole church family. So here's our anti-bullying pledge. Being mean stinks. Being mean stinks. I will not be mean. I will not be mean. If it is safe, I will speak up when I see bullying. I will speak up when I see bullying. I will reach out to others who are bullied. I will reach out to others who are bullied. I care. I care. I can help change things. I can help change things. I can be a leader. I can be a leader. Bullying hurts. Bullying hurts. I will do whatever I can to be a friend. I will do whatever I can to be a friend. My name is Allison. My name is Allison. And I will stand up against bullying. And I will stand up against bullying. Thanks, everyone.
Please be seated. I know that you're thinking, wait a minute. What about this rope we got at the beginning? What is that about? It's our way that we're going to close our time with each other today. If you've got a rope with knots in it, that's perfectly the way it should be. We're going to use this rope as a way to both encapsulate what we've experienced today and also to have something to take with us to remind ourselves of the importance of what we do today on Pink Shirt Sunday. This is a prayer, but it's a prayer with your eyes open. It's a prayer with your fingers. I just have some words over top of all that. Feel the knots of your string. As we do, we hold our memory and awareness of the times and circumstances and the knots in us. That experience of feeling unlovely and unloved, bewildered and lost, knotted and unsure of who we are and what's expected of us and what we expect of ourselves. Those are times of pain and confusion. They're times of hurt and rejection, fear and pain, and they get tied by our experiences in the world. They even sometimes get tied by those close to us because we know the risk of opening our hearts. And sometimes knots are the result. Hold your knot tight in your fist. We so often pack our pain away inside of us, as deep and tangled as these knots, and we tightly guard those knotted places, afraid it might be glimpsed, afraid that others might see it, afraid of the hurt. But as we pray our intentions and our hopes of this day, we open our fist. May we be able to show our real selves, our true selves to each other. May we begin to disentangle one of the knots. May we find safe places and safe people with whom to bring our knotted selves into the light. And as we journey and as we begin to know ourselves, we recognize that knots of confusion and misunderstanding sometimes get untangled. Feel the rope that is just a bit more straightened out. I think it probably still has curves and creases that remind you of where the knot was. We'll always be formed by those experiences and shaped by the good and the bad. And there's still a knot in our rope. Sometimes the knots are too tight for our own hands. Our own skills and experiences aren't quite what's needed to untangle all our knots. And so may we find help with each other. Pass your rope to a person next to you. Ask them to help you untangle your knot. Help me, please. Thank you. May we, as we leave here today with this piece of rope, whether it has a knot in it or not, may we have an awakened sense of all that's good and true spilling out into the richness of brightness and love, knowing that the knots of hatred and fear can be untangled. That we might stretch toward our best selves for living our best todays. Let's take our untangled and tangled selves from this place with a song on our lips.
Hey, it's Christopher. Thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch last week's video, click this button right here. If you can manage it and can donate to SSUC to help us continue this video page, click right here. And for any information that you want about SSUC and our programs, visit our website.